Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Sometimes the best way to find a living is to stay right where you are and study with UAS online. Career-specific distance programs from the University of Alaska Southeast are the fastest way to increase your earning power.
We connect all over the world.
The National Weather Service.
Hello again, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for this Friday's edition of Alaska Weather. On yesterday's satellite imagery, not a lot going on out here over the Bering Sea again. Pretty good conditions. AKwx over down Alaska Peninsula here, and even northward into the Bering Sea. Start picking up a few clouds here. Some systems coming out of the Russian Far East, very weak, just bands of moisture sliding into the northern Bering Sea. And then the next front out here to the west, slipping on up toward the far western Aleutians. Interior, no change, coldest up on the north slope to start with, and warmest down over south central Alaska with cold air pouring out into the Gulf, and just a few scattered snow showers here, mostly off the southeast coast, and then look like a few clouds up into the southeast interior right through here. And again, showery conditions scattered down across the panhandle. And for today, that whole mass has shifted eastward. Low pressure west of the Queen Charlottes, circulating moisture northwestward in the form of scattered mostly rain showers over to the south, more of a mixed condition up to the north, but none of it very heavy at all. Clearing out around Yakutat, virtually clear skies all the way across to Cordova into Prince William Sound, as well as south central Alaska, Kodiak Island looking really good, as well as out here over the Bering Sea. And the interior, variable clouds here, especially over the eastern Tanana Valley, 40-mile country, kind of an upper trough slipping southward there. But really not a lot of moisture to work with, just enough to keep some off and on flurries going over toward Northway, and some clouds back toward Fairbanks. Clear and cold north slope and Arctic coast through the afternoon. And then back over the northern Bering Sea, again, flow coming out of the Russian Far East. Have some moisture here streaming into the St. Matthew Island area. And low clouds with flurries and light snow here from the Seward Peninsula, or really light snow, and down to the Nunivak Island area. And the front here elongating eastward. And there were periods of rain, gusty winds, but not all that strong here from AKwx and Atka, all the way out to Shemya with that feature. Otherwise high pressure, keeping it pretty nice with the winds light for the Pribilofs as well as the Alaska Peninsula. And then this area of moisture in the form of clouds and light snow coming eastward there, and a little more moisture all the way up to Cape Lisburne, Point Hope, southward across portions of the Seward Peninsula there, mostly to the west, and then on down into the Yukon Delta coastline to possibly Nunivak Island. Otherwise, pretty good here, south central Alaska, nothing but sunshine, clear skies, mostly clear skies, fair conditions, light winds, Arctic high centered up there right over the north slope on out toward the central Arctic coast, and light winds off to the east, and then a little bit of flurries here, mostly off in Canada and the Yukon, but again slipping on up into the far eastern Tanana Valley. Again, Northway, maybe Tok, but nothing much other than that. And the scattered rain and snow showers here across the southeast coast today. There were some areas of clearing as well with that. due to the upper low and surface low there off to the west-southwest. And for tonight, that pattern will continue. Scattered rain and snow showers, not only tonight, but through tomorrow as well. More showery conditions off the coast there, but should be dry from Yakutat. No change for the North Gulf Coast. Areas south of the Alaska Range, even to the north, not looking for any change here with variable clouds there to just continued periods of very light snow in the far east there, and then mostly clear, temperatures falling well below zero again. AKwx Valley all the way out to the Arctic coast with the light winds in the high center holding there, weakening a little bit but not too much. And that area of moisture continues to try to slip southeastward here, but it's really throughout the entire night it will be dissipating. And otherwise out to the west front here, that spreads some rain chances, maybe to Nikolsky, but winds not all that strong with that, and then breaking out as the thing shifts northward there back to the west, but probably staying in all night there for Adak and Atka, periods of light rain and diminishing winds in that area. Then for Saturday, just a lingering snow shower or two, mostly around Nunivak Island from Koryak over to possibly Tuksuk Bay. Otherwise, mostly clear across Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta. Good VFR even off the coast down across the Alaska Peninsula tomorrow. VFR south central Alaska. And even with these clouds here on the north side of the Alaskan Range, they'd be of the VFR variety with that condition all the way out to the Arctic coast again, and even into the Chukchi Sea. A trough here trying to spread some light snow in, but that's still a ways off the coast even by tomorrow afternoon. And the high nudging eastward a little bit the center, but not very much, so not a lot of change anywhere tomorrow. Low pressure, we've got an upper level trough, low center cutting off here right over the, actually centered right along the North Gulf Coast. So that's going to tend to start to increase the snow shower activity a little bit here. Some of that might reach the southern coast of the Seward Peninsula, and whatever does will be very light just due to the easterly flow around the north side of that surface low. But on the backside, Kodiak, just a few clouds, dry over to Yakutat. And again, no change to the Panhandle, scattered rain and snow showers, light winds, again through tomorrow and Sunday, shaping up to look like this. Again, that upper low developing in the Gulf here, so increasing values of vorticity as that drops in, so that should enhance the areas of snow showers across Prince William Sound. So better chance for Cordova, into Whittier, and areas of the Kenai Peninsula, mostly to the east and south. Light snow, better chance of maybe some scattered snow showers. Definitely looking mostly cloudy there for Kodiak with a risk of some snow shower conditions. Dry for Bristol Bay. And then another trough swings up into the Panhandle, so rain and snow showers become a little more numerous on Sunday from what they'll be tomorrow and tomorrow night. And again, some of this moisture again will continue to try to slide westward into the upper or the eastern Tanana Valley areas. Probably won't make it over to Delta, but definitely into the Wrangell Mountains. Probably see some light snow showing up there. Otherwise, no change in the interior. Light winds, clear skies, cold overnight temperature, overnight low temperatures, and even pretty chilly for the afternoon highs. High pressure redeveloping out here near St. Lawrence Island, building up to about 1,023 millibars. Northeast flow coming around that. Looks really good. VFR sunshine all the way across Nunivak Island, and even most of the Alaska Peninsula to the Pribilofs. Now this trough finally brings a chance of some light snow into the Point Hope, Cape Lisburne area there, maybe in the afternoon. Otherwise, all that's going to do is tend to swing the winds around to a more southwest direction, although pretty light, just in the 5 to 10, maybe 15 knot range, with light winds and variable winds all the way eastward there along the Arctic coast. Clear and cold again, but a lot of daytime sunshine here across all of the interior, except for the eastern areas. And out to the west, not a lot going on. The original front here really washing out right through this position. Just a chance of a shower for Unalaska. Never reaches the Pribilofs there, so variably cloudy skies for Sunday. Light winds, light variable winds all the way up to St. Lawrence Island, and a risk of a shower for Adak and Atka. A little bit stronger system spreads better chance of some moisture into the western Aleutians there. And winds will probably pick up to about 30 knots here from west of Adak out to Shimya, but looks like at this point staying below gale force. So looking on to temperatures here this afternoon across the Panhandle, all in the mid to upper 30s with Sitka at 39. Otherwise, AKwx, 38 degrees, 34 at the state capitol, but Yakutat up to 40. 29 Cordova, Valdez pushed up to 24th, northeast winds, 17 though at Whittier, while Seward 25, 12 in Galcana. North of the mountains, just edging up above 0 this afternoon with 4 at Northway, 2-1 above at Fairbanks, and Tanana had 5. Fort Yukon just 7 this afternoon. Bettles 1 above 0, and Anatuvik 9 below. Temperatures 15 or 5 to 20 below 0 there, central eastern Arctic coast, and then above 0 to the Cape Lisburne area. Single numbers here for the interior. That's Selawik with -3, and pretty uniform temperatures. Right around 10 degrees here all the way into the Yukon River Valley, Kuskokwim Valley, all the way out to Bethel with 7. That same temperature matched at McGrath as well, but Macoriac up to 30 degrees, and Nome had 6. And Savunga 18. Down southern Bering Sea, Pribilof's right around freezing this afternoon. Mid-30s for Unalaska. Atka 43, otherwise 39. Adak and Shimya. Alaska Peninsula starting out in the upper 20s here for Cold Bay, Sand Point, cooling into the teens by the time you get to Pilot Point, 15. And King Salmon just 9 above, while Kodiak State Airport had 29. And the lows tonight down into the teens across Kodiak Island, and right around 0, give or take here. Some areas below, some areas above South Central Alaska. West of the mountains, definitely below 0. 10 to 20 below for the lows, a little milder out toward the coastline with 9 for Macoriac. Staying above 0 for St. Lawrence Island. Not much change for St. Paul, low 30, upper 30s for the Aleutians. Coldest temperatures here, North Slope, eastern Arctic coast down to 30, maybe 35 below there, with -20s all the way down into the Alaska Range, and pretty chilly in the Copper River Basin as well. Otherwise, the Panhandle looking 20s to lower 30s. And for the highs tomorrow, 30s here, upper 30s near 40 south, 22 near the pass, 20s North Gulf Coast, South Central Alaska, single numbers in the Tanana Valley, teens out to the west, but really not much change down into the Bristol Bay area, and 30s to lower 40s for the Aleutians and Alaska Peninsula. Flying weather tomorrow, good VFR, much of the interior, maybe some marginal stuff right along, but mostly off the coast there to the Bering Strait. Patch IFR here with that moisture coming southeastward there. Again, that's going to improve even late tonight and then throughout the day tomorrow, and some IFR there over the southern Panhandle, and also with the front out to the west. So by tomorrow afternoon, weakening front, less IFR kind of slipping on into the Nikolsky area. And again, IFR mostly off the coast of the Arctic coast there, otherwise good VFR conditions north to south in the Gulf of Alaska, and just some marginal VFR left over the southern Panhandle. So passes as yesterday, all VFR again today for the forecast for Saturday, and probably Sunday as well. Lake Clark and Merrill wide open, same forecast for rainy, windy, ceilings, visibilities unlimited. Isabel, Mentasta, and Tanita with Portage looking good. VFR, Chilkoot and White could be maybe possibly marginal, but call it a VFR day. And for the freezing levels, late tonight, early tomorrow, up to near Yakutat and then hugging the coastline on down, but definitely south here at Kodiak and the Alaska Peninsula, with roughly around 2,000 feet here in advance of that front, central Aleutians and a little bit to the east. So taking a look at the icing, really not much to speak of, none for the interior of the Bering Sea, maybe some rime, very light, trace amounts possible with that front slipping eastward toward the eastern Aleutians there, and then better chance maybe areas of mixed icing here across the Panhandle, mostly over the central areas, and again to the south, dry to the north. Upper level wind flow chart, 18,000 feet, looking like this. Again, upper level low starting to cut off here right over the southeast interior, Copper River Basin. Northwest flow, 80 knots on the west side of that across the southwest coast, Kodiak Island, and another upper system here near Dixon Entrance, and then high pressure holding out over the Bering Sea. 9,000 foot wind flow chart, northeasterlies 25 to 35 right around across the Kuskokwim Valley, becoming northwest across southwest Kodiak Island, and the Aleutian Range becoming light and variable across the peninsula. Light winds North Gulf Coast down across the Panhandle, and again 25 to 30 knot northeasterlies through the central interior, and really not much wind out west. Same pattern, 3,000 feet. Low pressure south of Seward. Northwest winds, kind of a band of northeast 25 to 35. Turn northwest here and sweep along and southwest of Kodiak right across the Aleutian Range. Light winds and variable conditions there for the Panhandle, and maybe 30 to 40 knots out here, mostly Attu Island on out to the Komondorski. So really no problem at all here, just 20 knots for the Pribilofs, lighter up toward the Bering Strait. Turbulence-wise, not a lot here with those northeast winds, maybe up here over the northeast interior, especially along the southern slopes of the Brooks Range. Mountainous terrain here over the southwest interior. Aleutian Range, Kodiak Island, light to isolated moderate chop. That's about it. Smooth everywhere else. And after hangar flying, I'll be back to look at the ice edge and the marine forecasts.
Good afternoon. I'm Rocky Capozzi. On behalf of Alaska Public Media and the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation, welcome to Hangar Flying. Our guest this afternoon is our own Mary O'Connor. Mary is the manager of the Aviation Safety Research Program at the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. We commonly refer to this as NIOSH. NIOSH recently released a new training video for commercial pilots in Alaska about preventing fatigue. In our last session, we began to discuss some of the issues related to fatigue, and we left off on a question that I had posed to Mary. What are some of the red flags we can look for in our coworkers to perhaps, make the diagnosis, if you will, that, gosh, he or she's pretty fatigued?
And as we were talking, it's often easier to spot fatigue in a coworker rather than yourself. People are notoriously very, very poor at recognizing fatigue in themselves. In other people, especially people that you know well, say a co-pilot or a flight engineer that you've had a regular schedule with, things you can look for include impaired thinking, an inability to remember, inability to concentrate. Say they forgot their headset or their lunch in the crew room and they normally are very on top of things. When a pilot has difficulty in, say, copying a clearance or remembering a heading or an altitude clearance, those can all be signs of fatigue. I'm sure we've all had difficulty with working memory and remembering to cancel a flight plan. That can be due to fatigue, especially if you've had a particularly fatiguing flight.
Okay, so what are actions a pilot can take to prevent fatigue?
I would start with evaluating the quality of sleep, and that's making sure that you're getting an adequate amount of sleep and then that you're doing it in a good environment. So you should have a routine before you go to bed and just start to relax maybe an hour before sleep. You want to avoid TV, texting, emailing, any kind of screen time. Researchers are now finding that blue light in particular that's emitted from screens can cause the circadian trigger and tell people to stay awake. And that's not even talking about some of the information that might be aggravating or
exciting,
right. That can cause people to get pretty excited. That doesn't help them relax and get in a mood to sleep. You want to make sure that your sleep environment is a comfortable temperature and that it's quiet and it's dark. And I know in Alaska a lot of people use the night shades or even tinfoil to put over the windows to keep it dark.
Okay, so let's fast forward. We failed, we didn't prevent fatigue. How can we mitigate it?
And that does happen. Some things that we can do if we know that we're going to be fatigued is, if you can at all, schedule time during the day, take a nap. Studies have shown that even as much as 20 minutes can help. Caffeine also helps, and we want to keep this to a minimum and use caffeine sparingly so that it does work when we need it to. One trick that some people use is having a cup of coffee and then taking a nap. It generally takes 20 or 30 minutes for caffeine to kick in, so by the time you get up from your nap, caffeine will be fully effective. One thing when napping, you do want to make sure that you allow some time for sleep inertia to pass, and that's that groggy state when you wake up. You want to make sure that that's passed before you would get into an airplane or drive a car.
That's an interesting subject you just brought up, and you mentioned a 20-minute nap. I've heard that 20 minutes good, more than 40 minutes bad. Is there some research that supports that kind of assertion?
It's the sleep inertia part. Generally, the longer you can sleep, the better.
Okay.
You just want to make sure that you have enough time. So if you have an hour for lunch, probably a 40-minute nap is going to be harder to wake up from.
Gotcha.
So a 20-minute nap might be more appropriate. Some other things that you could do with that time might include exercising.
Okay.
And just some basketball or playing ping pong, even out on the ramp or in a hangar, can help, just the physical movement. Also, being outdoors in the light. Light triggers us to stay awake, and natural light is the best source of that. So if you can go outside
But I
at
find
all.
few things more relaxing and putting me to sleep than bright sunshine streaming through a cockpit window. It's just such a relaxing environment, a little bit of vibration from the propellers. Yeah,
It's like being rocked to sleep, isn't it?
Gosh, Mary, we've almost run out of time. Real quickly, can you do anything to train yourselves to overcome the effects? And we've got about 20 seconds to address this.
Absolutely not. Sleep is the only cure.
Okay, well, keep that in mind then. We all have to get our sleep whether we like it or not. I hope to engage you again and continue our discussion on fatigue. Everybody, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Wish you blue skies and tailwinds.
Today's sea ice analysis hasn't changed a whole lot from yesterday, but from earlier in the week, it's edged on down a little closer to the Pribilofs there. Back up, the heavier stuff now south of St. Matthew Island, and then thinner through here because of the northerly winds and blowing the heavier stuff off to the south. And it looks like some expansion over Bristol Bay. And that probably will continue for the next few days, but as the winds become easterly and increase here, look for actually a westward movement of the ice edge over the next 4 or 5 days. And for the marine forecast, east to northeast at about 20 on the south coast, northeast to southeast, lighter, just 15 on the north coast. Gales tomorrow again, Lynn Canal northern, higher gusts, but down to 20 knots for Stevens Passage. Winds becoming southeast for Clarence Strait, and those pick up to about 25 knots. So small craft advisories both for Clarence Strait and Stevens Passage. Seas running at about 5 feet, while those northerly winds drop back to 20 knots for Lynn Canal, especially to the north. So southern Lynn Canal probably pretty light for Sunday. And then small craft advisories all along the coast here. Southeast 25, surprisingly, for the wind speeds and not the sea heights, with 25 knots southeasterlies on the north coast, 25 on the south coast. Seas just 6 to 7 feet. And for Prince William Sound, pretty light winds, mostly from the north, just a breeze. Higher gusts, though, through the channeled areas. And light variable winds, northern Cook Inlet, pick up to 15 south of the Forelands. Northwest, small craft advisory winds, Kamishak Bay across the Barrens. And then for Sunday, north 15, northern Cook Inlet, say northeast at 15 for Prince William Sound. Right down across the western North Gulf Coast, but southeast 15, could be 20 knots on Sunday, but right now, definitely no small craft advisories yet in the forecast, and 20 knots there on the east side of Kodiak Island. And for Bristol Bay, light north winds tomorrow, 15 knot northeasterlies through the Alaska Peninsula, seas 4 to as high as 9 feet in the Pacific side. Northwest 20, Castle Cape to Sitkinak with just 6-foot seas. And then for Sunday, no change really, Castle Cape to Sitkinak, that's where you'll find the strongest winds in these areas. Otherwise 10 to 15 knot northeasterlies for the peninsula. Winds stay light basically from the north for Bristol Bay. Aleutians, Fox Island, southeast 20, give or take, some higher gusts, seas 6 to 13 feet. Lighter, more variable here due to that front swinging on through, and then southeast pick back up to 25 knots over the western Aleutians. And that continues to increase on Sunday because another system approaching. Doesn't look like gales at this point. Small craft advisories back in the picture for the central Aleutians. Southeast 15 for the Fox Islands. And for the southwest coast, northeast 15, turn east to 20 for the Pribilofs. Same pattern all the way up to St. Matthew Island. St. Lawrence Island, easterlies at 15, which on Sunday under high pressure will become light and variable up there with a high center real close to the island there. So south of that high center, light northeast winds, keeping it pretty nice and chilly though along the southwest coast. And then those pick up to about 20 knots for the Pribilofs, 15 for St. Matthew Island. Up along the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, pretty light winds, northwest 5 or just variable at 5 or no wind at all really. And then south at about 10 here, southwest 10, east 15 from Wales to Cape Thompson. And then on Sunday, with that weak trough approaching from the west, call it southwest here from the Bering Strait, all the way up the west side there, but only in the 10 to 15 knot range. Light southerly central coast, swinging around, light though, very light, maybe east-southeast at 5, or again, really no significant wind at all anywhere along the Arctic coast here through the weekend. And for the forecast for tonight, the reason is high pressure up there, so no gradient at all. Clear skies, temperatures 35 below, especially on the north slope, with a little milder here where the clouds are, but pretty chilly all the way down to the Copper River Basin, and cold again tonight. Southern Alaska, rain and snow showers linger over the southeast coast both tonight and for Saturday. Weakening front out to the west. No heavy weather at all coming in to the Aleutians here as this continues to weaken. As it heads eastward, no change for the interior. Upper level trough will tend to increase the clouds and the snow showers over the Gulf of Alaska with no change for the Panhandle, but definitely Sunday, a little bit better chance now. Some moisture coming back up to the North Gulf Coast, form of snow. More numerous rain and snow showers for the Panhandle, and then some moisture also slipping westward here. Most of it staying in the Yukon, but definitely some will get into the eastern Copper River Basin areas. And that's it. Have a great weekend.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.